Welcome to an original character art demonstration brought to you by Sakura of America. My name is Fung Mai Bui Kwang, and I'm an artist from PMBQ Studios. Step 1 is sketch. While I'm laying in the basic sketch, I'd like to give a little background on OCs. OC stands for Original Character. It can be two things. First, it is a completely original character with an original story that you or your friends have created. The second and more common meaning is an original character created that works with an existing story franchise. The OC that I'm drawing is actually a character that I created to work with a story called Ninja High School, which is published by Antarctic Press. I didn't create the universe of Ninja High School, but I wrote and drew stories that were published and fit in with the universe. When you create an OC, you are bringing them to life. That means that you should consider their personal details, such as where they were born, how old they currently are, what color is their hair, what's their favorite food, and things like that. Think about things you'd want to know about your best friends, and that's a pretty good guideline for how much background information to create for an OC. When you think about what clothes they should wear, it really depends on the kind of world and the story that they live in. With my OC Mayaka, she is a female ninja in Japan, and that's why I draw her wearing ninja clothes. I've done research about ninjas, both online and in books, to see what kind of clothes they wear and what kind of weapons they use. And then I also take a little bit of artistic fashion liberty in designing a ninja outfit. That is your ability as an artist. You should learn the rules, but know that you can bend them when the time is right. Even with Pankun, the sidekick Red Panda, I've put thought into his origins. I researched what red pandas look like and based his design on that. For personality, I envisioned he and Mayaka to be an inseparable team, just like best friends. So I show this by posing them closely together, and also the fact that he wears a scarf that matches Mayaka's ponytail ribbon. In general, when you create an OC, you really need to do your background work. Think about the setting of your story. Research what people wore during that time, and also what kinds of customs and mannerisms exist. Once you do that, you have the foundation for creating a believable OC. Step 2 is inking. Materials we're using are the Pigma Sensei 06 pen and the Pigma Professional brush BB with the bold tip. Inking is the process where you go over your sketch lines with a darker pen. Professional artists, especially manga and comic artists, traditionally use black, waterproof, and archival inks. This is because artwork used to be photographed with a camera and transferred onto film for a printing press. So it was very important that your lines be as dark as possible so that the camera can pick up your lines and reprint them as clearly as possible. And it's always also important that the ink be archival and waterproof, just in case you have to reshoot your artwork for film. And even today, even though we scan in artwork, it's still important that your lines be just clear and sharp, just like in the old days with the camera. So Sakura's Pigma ink and Pigma Sensei pens do use a waterproof and archival formula, and it makes them great tools for beginners and professionals alike. So with inking our original character picture, I have started out with the Pigma Sensei 06 pen. And I chose this pen because it has a nice medium nib. It's not too thick and not too thin. And when I'm inking, I still keep my wrist pretty relaxed, but I press down a little bit more firmly than when I was sketching. All I'm really doing is going over my pencil lines with the Pigma Sensei pen. It's a lot like tracing. And you can really start to see some of the details come out more, like the spikiness on Pankun's fur and some of his facial details. And now I'm adding in some cross-hatching on the kimono, which is actually chainmail that Mayaka is wearing. And with the inking, you can see how Mayaka's hair ribbon matches Pankun's scarf. And with the hair, you'll notice that I left some looser lines to show individual hair strands. And last but not least is Pankun's big brushy tail. So when I'm happy with how my inks look, I can erase away all of the pencil lines. I like using a plastic eraser just because it's pretty clean and picks up the pencil lead pretty well. For the finishing inking touches, I'm going to use the Pigma Professional brush BB pen, which has a bold tip. This is one of my favorite art tools because I can get a lot of expressive lines from a single pen. By keeping your hand relaxed and varying the amount of pressure, you can make your lines thick or thin. More pressure will give you a thick line, and less pressure will give you a thin line. You can always practice drawing lines with a brush pen on a separate piece of paper before you start inking a drawing, and that way you can get familiar with how to use a brush pen and start to establish your own preferred style. So you can see as I work how the lines stand out just a little bit more and give the characters just a bit more life and personality. Step 3 is color. For this we'll be using the Koi coloring brush pens. I'm starting out with the raw sienna color for Mayaka's eyes and hair. And as I color, I'm stroking in the lines all in the same direction, which creates a consistent hair texture. And if you're wondering about the open white gap that I've left on the hair, this is a highlight. I'll be doing the same technique of leaving some open white gaps on other areas of the hair. Now I'm just finishing off the rest of the hair. You'll notice that I drew a few extra lines around the hair. I like to do this because it adds a touch more dimension, especially to manga characters. Stylistically, it can seem like manga hair is just a big, simple shape sitting on their head, so when you add some extra strands, it makes it seem more like real hair. Next, I'm using brown to add some shadows to the eyes and also the hair. And as I work in creating the shadows, I picture the light source coming in from the top right area of the drawing. So this means that all the shadows of the drawing will fall on the bottom left side. Some last touches with the brown. And next is the skin tone, and I'm going to use the Naples yellow color. So again, I keep in mind the light source coming in from the top right, and all my shadows will stay consistent. Just final details on the hand. And I'm using coral red for some details on the face, just some lip gloss and blush. Next, I'm going to use sky blue. I'll use this for all of the clothing shadow details, starting with the hair ribbon. Next is the scarf, just remembering my light source, coloring the lower left portions. And I'll do the same thing with the clothing, like the kimono, all of the folds of the kimono. Just adds a bit more depth. Also Pankun scarf, and some areas on Pankun's facial fur. Next, I'm using cool gray to add some depth to the throwing star, as well as some shadow textures on her hand wraps. That's done. Finally, we're going to start to color in Pankun. So I've started off using the red marker, and I'm kind of blocking in the shadows on his face and on his arm. For the mid-tone on Pankun, I'm using the vermilion marker. So I'm using this to fill in the rest of his fur. His arms, also get some vermilion. And then similar to how I did Mayaka's hair, on Pankun's tail I keep all my strokes going in the same direction, so it just creates some texture. So I'm going to go back in with the red and add the final shadow details, like on his arms, and probably the most fun and exciting part, which is adding the rings on his tail. Some last details with the light blue, and last but not least are the eyes, where I used yellow green and sap green. And then don't forget to sign your drawing. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep creating and stay panderific. Bye for now.